Right now, though, I'm delighted to welcome the Shadow Health Secretary, Labour MP West Region.
Good morning. I've got my metaphorical crash helmet on, shoulder pads, shin pads. Do your worst.
Let's go. Well, I mean, God, here are my tough questions today. You're 17 points ahead. And look, I saw you at an event last night. You and most of the front bench were standing around, frankly, having a little bit of a huddle, congratulating yourselves. You think you've won the next election already,
Well, we're not inviting you to our parties anymore if this is what you do the next morning. There's a serious point, Julia, which is we are confident. We do think we're ready for government. We've got a serious plan, serious team ready to govern, but we're not cocky and complacent, actually. I mean, we're looking at that poll you were just talking about, that 45%. There is a slight bit of pinching ourselves here, but we know that this is a poll. These aren't votes in the bag. We're not taking people for granted, and we've got a lot of work to do still to earn back the trust of people out there.
Well, we spoke to Paul Johnson of the Institute of Fiscal Studies a little bit earlier, and for want of a better expression, he was saying, sort of, be careful what you wish for. If Labour did win in 2024, very different circumstance from where you were when you won in 1997.
Absolutely.
In terms of the public finances, you could inherit, in the same way as Liz Truss, do you really want to be Prime Minister, in September 2022? You would be inheriting huge amounts of debt, massive issues, all public services. No one thinks these things are going to be resolved in the next couple of years, in which case you're going to be having to borrow more, tax more, not being able to hand out the goodies in terms of billions for education, billions in pay rises for nurses, billions in... That's the reality. You're going to be upsetting an awful lot of your followers.
We're done with shouting from the sidelines. It's because we love our country that we want the chance to govern, to try and tackle these big crises, because expecting the Tories to sort out that huge list of challenges is like expecting the arsonists to put out the fire they created. It's just not going to happen. And you're right, whether it's at home or abroad, there are multiple crises going on at the moment, many of them made in Downing Street. I mean, what we've seen overnight, actually, in terms of the withdrawal of mortgage products from the market, rising interest rates, rising bills, falling wages, higher prices on the shelves in the supermarket. So many of those problems are as a direct result of the choices made in Downing Street by the Conservatives. And the risk now for the country isn't change with Labour, it's more of the same with the Conservatives.
And yes, and actually an awful lot of the situation of where we are is down to policies which were supported by Labour. I know I'm a broken record on this, but you all supported lockdown, you all supported insane energy policies where we didn't actually invest in the fossil fuels and the nuclear. I know Labour's changed its stance on nuclear now, where we would actually have not been hit so hard by what happened with the Ukrainian spike in gas prices. A lot of voters, a lot of my audience will be sitting there going, you're all as bad as each other. You'd all tank the economy. We're in a terrible mess. Who do I trust?
Well, I'd also say judge us on our record here. If the economy had grown just by the same rate that it did under the last Labour government, there'd be £30 billion available to the Chancellor to either invest in public services or to reduce taxes or to put into business investment, which wouldn't require a single increase in a penny.
You left government after an economic crash.
Which was caused by the bankers,
deregulation by Gordon Brown.
By the bankers, which the Conservatives didn't oppose deregulation.
That's true.
I think we've had long enough to reflect in opposition, and if there's one thing that Keir Starmer has achieved in the short time he's been leader of the opposition, he has gripped the Labour Party, refocused it on the voters, and I think he's shown with the choices he's made, with the policies he's offering, not only is he in tune with the priorities of the public, he got the message as to why Labour lost last time, and has that respect for the voters. He's not asking the voters to simply change their mind. He's saying, look, give us a chance because we've changed the Labour Party. It's a very powerful change he's led in the Labour Party.
How much can voters believe, though, that the Labour Party has changed? OK, yes, it's been the Union flag this week, not the Palestinian flag that's being waved on the floor of conference. But there are an awful lot of people here at conference who'd be perfectly happy if Jeremy Corbyn was back in charge. They'd be perfectly happy to have a socialist government. The British people, again and again, have rejected that. The only Labour leader who kept winning elections was the one who had rejected socialism and put out that more moderate policy. Can Keir Starmer, given that he spent quite a few years trying to get Jeremy Corbyn elected as Prime Minister and also, by the way, fighting the result, trying to overturn the result of a democratic referendum in favour of Brexit, how can he persuade voters? Yes, as you say, a poll is very different from people actually casting their vote on election day. How can he persuade people that the Labour Party and he have changed?
Serious leader, serious team, serious plan for the country, not just about short-termism, but a long-term plan to get growth back into the economy, shared priorities, rebuild our public services, and look at the sort of choices he's making, actually. You know, we wouldn't be seeing taxes falling on working people at the moment had Labour not made the running and made an argument that people wouldn't necessarily expect the Labour Party to have made after some of the choices we've made in opposition, of saying, actually, why are we picking the pockets of working people as the first and last resort? Let's bring down income tax, let's cut national insurance. You know, those aren't the sort of policies you would have expected to hear from a Labour opposition under losing leaders.
You weren't calling for cutting national insurance, you were just opposed to the rise on national insurance.
I'll say meat, different gravy. Come on, we're splitting hairs now, Julia. We would not get that national insurance cut had Labour not campaigned for it.
Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng said he's going to set out a medium-term fiscal plan in 8 weeks' time.
I mean, I couldn't believe it yesterday, right? So the markets are in meltdown. Mortgage products are being taken off the market. And what's he said? Oh, don't worry, folks. In November, I mean, it's still September. In November, I'm going to rewrite the fiscal rules because I'm making it up as I go along. And he expects the markets to find that reassuring. He expects the public to have consumer confidence. I mean, I honestly can't believe it. I'm literally gobsmacked. The recklessness and irresponsible of the man who claims to be the Chancellor of the Exchequer. He's more Chancellor than Chancellor.
Is this, as some commentators saying, is this Liz Truss's poll tax moment? Specifically, I'm thinking the
I think that's very unkind to Mrs Thatcher and the poll tax. This is far worse. I mean, we obviously hated Mrs Thatcher, campaigned against her, campaigned against the poll tax. But honestly, you know, this lot makes some of the worst chapters in recent British political and economic history look like the good old days. I've honestly never seen anything like it. And don't just take my word for it. Look at the reaction of Conservative MPs. I mean, I almost, not quite, you know, I almost feel sorry for them because they can see their party as being captured by completely reckless and irresponsible people. It barely resembles, it's certainly not, whatever this is isn't
and yet,
Conservative.
going back to my first question, you're saying you're not complacent.
No.
You don't think you've got the next election in the bag, even looking at polls like that 17-point lead. Look, there are some other aspects in terms of where those votes fall and the key election grounds and boundary changes and things, which do make a big difference to actually whether or not Labour can win a majority after that trouncing in 2019. But given you think that the Chancellor and the Prime Minister have made such a catastrophic mistake, given where the polls are, why aren't you more confident?
Because there is a difference between people saying, look, the government's terrible, and wanting to vote for the opposition. And I don't want people voting at the next election for Labour because we're seen as the least worst option. I want people to vote Labour at the next election because we've given them hope and confidence in the leader, the team and the policies to get Britain's economy growing again, to get business investment and consumer confidence back up, to rebuild our public services and to help Britain stand tall on the international stage again in the face of very big international challenges as well as the problems here at home.
Well, we're going to hear that message from your leader, Keir Starmer, on the keynote speech at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Mr Kwarteng, always good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too,
Shadow
Julia.
Health
Thanks
Secretary.